So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone who's slowly joining in. XIQ is going to play a few videos beforehand before we jump right into the webinar. So Abdul, if you don't mind queuing those up for us. Oh, I think you might have to reshare with your sound there.
Understanding your client's business is key to impressing them and winning their trust. Preparation is essential but takes too much time as sales reps show up unprepared in their meetings, resulting in 87% lost opportunities. XIQ introduces its AI-generated SWOT analysis and pain points. Custom tailor your outreach and presentations with the up-to-date strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats faced by your clients in a matter of seconds. Say no to extensive research, bundled-up meetings, lost opportunities, and stress. With XIQ, reduce your stress, win big, and put the smile back in sales. One-size-fits-all approach doesn't work when it comes to personalizing sales and marketing emails. There are on average 12 people involved in a B2B decision-making process, where each individual expects personalization and is different. A cookie-cutter approach simply doesn't work. XIQ introduces hyper-personalized emails for B2B sellers and marketers. By combining XIQ's personality insights on over 2 billion people with ChatGPT's advanced language processing, sellers and marketers can now send trustworthy and personalized emails to their prospective buyers in a matter of seconds. XIQ's first-party intent data generates valuable information that focus on the recipient's personality traits. ChatGPT's natural language processing capabilities craft compelling subject lines and email body copy that speaks directly to the recipient's individual preferences and motivations. This means you can create emotionally intelligent messages that resonate with your prospects' personalities, resulting in a higher response rate. So what are you waiting for? Experience the power of XIQ's ChatGPT email writer today.
So good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Taylor Cardin, and thank you for joining us today. I'm personally excited to be speaking with someone, Jamie Diligo. We'd love to hear from you during today's conversation and presentation. If you have a question, please feel free to throw it in the Q&A channel at the bottom of your player. We'll be answering your questions at the end of today's session, and today's webinar will be available on demand after the live session and is accessible by registering on the XIQ website. Lastly, we'd encourage you to share this webinar on your social networks. I think we're going to play those videos one more time to give a few more people some more time to run into the webinar from meetings, and then we'll be getting started shortly after that.
Understanding your client's business is key to impressing them and winning their trust. Preparation is essential but takes too much time as sales reps show up unprepared in their meetings, resulting in 87% lost opportunities. XIQ introduces its AI-generated SWOT analysis and pain points. Custom tailor your outreach and presentations with the up-to-date strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats faced by your clients in a matter of seconds. Say no to extensive research, bundled-up meetings, lost opportunities, and stress. With XIQ, reduce your stress, win big, and put the smile back in sales. One-size-fits-all approach doesn't work when it comes to personalizing sales and marketing emails. There are on average 12 people involved in a B2B decision-making process, where each individual expects personalization and is different. A cookie-cutter approach simply doesn't work. XIQ introduces hyper-personalized emails for B2B sellers and marketers. By combining XIQ's personality insights on over 2 billion people with ChatGPT's advanced language processing, sellers and marketers can now send trustworthy and personalized emails to their prospective buyers in a matter of seconds. XIQ's first-party intent data generates valuable information that focus on the recipient's personality traits. ChatGPT's natural language processing capabilities craft compelling subject lines and email body copy that speaks directly to the recipient's individual preferences and motivations. This means you can create emotionally intelligent messages that resonate with your prospects' personalities, resulting in a higher response rate. So what are you waiting for? Experience the power of XIQ's ChatGPT email writer today.
So hello, everyone. My name is Taylor Carden. I am an account executive with XIQ, and today we have Jamie Diglio as our guest. Hello, Jamie. Good morning.
Morning, Taylor. Happy to be here.
We're very excited to have Jamie as our guest speaker today. Jamie is a high-performance professional coach and TEDx speaker. She founded In First Consulting to train leaders and teams on a better ways to win, not only in work, but also in life. With a master's degree in industrial organizational psychology and over 20 years of sales leadership experience at Gartner, Microsoft, and Solemn, Jamie has developed proven coaching techniques rooted in neuroscience, psychology, and neuro-linguistic programming. Recognizing that every single conversation is a sales conversation, she emphasized the importance of our internal dialogue, and through her 12-week Win Room program, participants achieve extraordinary success by aligning their innate strengths and drivers with their goals, resulting in strategies that consistently hit the mark. Welcome, Jamie.
Thanks, Taylor.
And so today we're going to be talking about turning that war room, and if you don't mind sharing the slides here, into that win room and really working on getting to the results that we all need and how you can really leverage AI and ChatGPT to achieve that really sailed success. So walking through our agenda, we're going to be talking about what is a war room? What does it mean and feel like to be in that room? And then what it means and feels like to really reach out with aim and intention and transition really quickly with speed to that win room. So on our next slide, starting out, I want to ask Jamie, you work directly with a lot of B2B sellers and companies. What does it mean to be in that war room versus a win room? And what are you seeing in the market today?
Yes, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I just did a TEDx talk about this, about how do you go from your war room to your win room. And let me explain it first before I tell you what I'm seeing in the market. So if we think about, everybody at all moments has two rooms in their head, okay? On one side, we have our war room, and it's where we literally work against results. It's where we doubt ourselves. We focus on weaknesses. And if you look at those rates that you had on the like response rates, when you're sending out your emails and everything and you're not getting any hits, like that's pretty easy to question yourself as a rep. It's like, what am I doing? Like I'm spending all my time and nothing is happening. And the thing is that when we are in our war room, we are losing money every moment of the day that your reps are in their war room. They're losing money because they're doubting themselves, they're questioning themselves, and they're not being productive. But on the other side is our win room. And where our win room is when we are clear, we're motivated, we're focused on our strengths, our direction. It's where we're making money. So when you think about it, like when you're in a war room, it's sort of like everything you're doing is like throwing spaghetti on the wall and hoping that something sticks. And something might stick, but it's not sustainable and it's exhausting. But when you're in your win room and have it clarity and you have direction and intention in the messages you're sending, and you feel good about what you're doing, you're like a GPS guided missile with rocket fuel, and you hit the mark every time. So we're thinking about these two rooms. Where do you want to be? Losing money, making money. So that's the war room, win room. But what I see a lot of companies doing right now is using traditional tools and war room tactics, and they're trying to win, but they're using war room thinking, and they're just throwing stuff against the wall and hoping it will stick. And they're wondering why they're not winning deals. They're not getting new customers, and they're not getting new conversations. So that's what I'm seeing right now.
And I think that really translates. It's not only a mental mind state. I think it's a physical room as well. We see all these sales reps and marketers are trying to be working together to build revenue, but they're not moving forward. They have multiple solutions. We're seeing lack of training in a lot of SaaS tools. With that lack of training comes a lack of adoption, which end all be all leads to a loss of money in solutions and investments that just aren't working. And we're also seeing a lot of people, I know in XIQ, they'll come to a demo and they'll say, but we just invested in this other product that it's just not working. And we're putting money and money and money into it. So we're really seeing a changing point into, do you move forward or do you stay in that solution that's not working? So I do think a lot of organizations are afraid to leave investments that aren't working. And there's just so many solutions out there as a sales rep to go to. So we're in a war room. I'm going to multiple different solutions, and it's chaotic and it's painful, Jamie.
That's too much stuff. People are bombarded, right? Like we just keep piling it on more and more and more. And we're wondering why, like our reps, our teams, they're way down. And a lot of it's because it's very cookie cutter. And like the thing with a tool, right? Any tool is a tool, but like, how do you actually amplify and use it? And so that's where I see a lot too, is like you buy the tool and you think it's plug and play, and they maybe pitch you on the fact that it's plug and play. Well, there's more to it there, right? And how you can make it become a continued practice. And that's one of the things I really like about the XIQ platform. We're going to get into that, but like sort of how you can sort of see that overarching, across the whole buyer scenario, at the customer and, your teams and who they're working with. But reps, they need tools that make it easier for them to win and to understand the differences in the customers and how they want to be communicated to. So when we think about like, we want to be able to automate things, but we don't want to show up as a robot. We don't be communicating like a robot, right? Think about all the emails you get and you just ignore because it's all the same.
Exactly. And Jamie, let's be honest, we're not robots, but we're seeing a lot of transition into AI. So there really are some tools, and we'll show this on our next slide, that will help us as sales rep do our jobs. And they're not going to take over our jobs, but as a sales rep, we can utilize these to move forward in the sales process faster. And XIQ is that tool. It's a full platform. So what we're seeing on our screen is our sales accelerator platform. But before we jump into this, I want to kind of talk about AI and kind of set this up. So AI, artificial intelligence, XIQ has been utilizing it for a few years now, but it's becoming a household word at this point. It seems like I go on LinkedIn and everyone's talking about ChatGPT. But Jamie, you have another word for AI, and that's called aim and intention. And I think that's exactly what XIQ's goal is aim and intention in every single sales interaction. So tell me more about how you see aim and intention and how you think and feel that it affects the sales world.
Yeah, so I actually did talk about this also in my TEDx. So when I talk about what your real AI is, it's your aim and intention, as you said, Taylor. And so it's having clarity on where you're aiming at and where, why you're going there. And so many people get stuck in the war room because they don't have clarity. They don't have a direction. And it's like like I said, about like, all these activities, like it's more about activities versus like outcomes, and just hoping that something sticks. And this is like I always say, is it's like jumping in a taxi and saying, just take me somewhere. And we need to give reps the confidence and having the best information on how to communicate at all stages of the life cycle. So if we think about the personality insights and everything that with XIQ, it gives you the direction, the aim and intention you need to win that next conversation. And personalized communication, that is how the buyer wants to listen, not how you want to communicate.
Exactly. And so at XIQ, we use this AI, and XIQ really values that individual. So we're leveraging it to create a more efficient and effective sales operations. And along with that, those touch points, those chat GPT emails. So we're really focused on creating that. And so what does that mean in a B2B sale? Jamie, like you said, it means knowing your person, knowing how they communicate, reaching out with intention. And then past that, it's knowing what's happening at the company level. I know, Jamie, we were talking about this in our prep. You can prep and you can send a great email, but when it comes to that conversation, it's face to face, and you have to know what's happening on your buyer's side. So XIQ has built an entire platform around providing these insights in one space. And traditionally, these insights are scattered across multiple platforms, multiple different websites. And a sales rep could spend half their day trying to find the information they need. I always call it the million tab syndrome. I'm sure if our registrants look up at their tabs, they might see 20 open, if not more. I think that's a pain point we all have. So XIQ put this into one platform, and we're seeing it on our screen now. And it starts with those personality insights that are predicted based on publicly available information, who the person is, what they are interested in, and then how to communicate with them. And then we're moving and looking at the SWOT analysis. So we give the sales reps the tools they need to align their solution with a company's goals and also weak points. And then, of course, we have ChatGPT, which creates that email in seconds. Normally, as a sales rep, this was a pain point for me. I would sit there for 5 minutes saying, do I send it to Jamie saying, hello, how was your afternoon? Do I say, this is my data points? It's hard starting that conversation. So XIQ gives you a way to do that. XIQ also has an entire platform. We have Marketing Workbench that uses AI to curate content and then send it out using dynamic audience mapping that recommends your contacts to your content, and then the analytics to follow. But today, I really want to focus on the green chevrons of building that aim and intention. So like I've said it before, XIQ drinks their own champagne. So we started with Sales Accelerator Personality Insights, and we paired it with ChatGPT's large language model to create meaningful and scalable personalized outreach. So I like to say I always get to do the fun part of these webinars and jump into our platform live. So here I'm going to show you how I, as a sales rep, am utilizing XIQ in my sales outreach to increase open rates, book more demos, and close more deals faster. So here I'm going to start sharing my screen, and we're going to jump into XIQ's browser platform of that sales accelerator piece. I want to shamelessly plug, we are in the mobile app store on Android, and we also have an Outlook plugin as well. But here we are looking at my browser version. And so this is per sales rep, they'd get a license and they could add all their top accounts and all their top people. We have a spotlight, which is a scorecard of all that news. But I want to jump right in and start looking up a person. So here in our navigation bar, we could search up a person, do first name, last name company. In this case, I wanted to look up Jamie. Jamie, sorry, we're picking on you a little bit today. And so what XIQ will do is within seconds, it'll look at any publicly available information and pull up results. So here I could double click into my buyer. In this case, we have Jamie. And it'll start to provide me that intention of how I should reach out to Jamie. We see She's a motivator personality type. This is based on the DISC methodology, very similar to Myers-Briggs. We see who she is, what she does, and who she works for. So Jamie likes to investigate innovative concepts and is comfortable with frequent change. And Jamie, we gave you access to XIQ before this. So what did you think about it when you first jumped in?
Well, it's interesting, right? So like what you just said is my personality. Like, are you surprised that interested in innovation and things that are changing, like AI and everything that's happening, and me just being here, right? Like that is what this platform is it's a way to, think about using technology and adopting it as, things are changing. So the thing that I really liked about it initially, was just having like ease of use and to be able to understand, key with anything is that like every conversation is a sales conversation. Every moment of the day, right? So every part of communication, whether it's with a prospect, whether it's with a colleague, how you're communicating is critical in terms of how you get things done. Because it's the same thing when we're talking about the prospect that you want to reach out to, but it's the same thing when you're trying to sell internally and you've got other people that are in your organization that you have to try to sell and motivate to, agree to, to get the deal structured the right way, or legal, or whoever it is. The more we understand as a seller how people communicate, the quicker that we can have them hear what we want them to hear to move faster. And so one of the things, Taylor, I know I've said to you is that we're always in 3 sales conversations all the time. So, right, head exploding right now, is that every conversation is a sales conversation. We're all in sales, but every moment we're having 3 sales conversations. So right now there's 3 happening, okay? And the first one is what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about what I want to say. The second are the words I'm saying, right? What I'm actually saying to you. But the third and the most important is what you're hearing. So Taylor, what you're hearing me say and what everybody else that's listening to this right now, everybody's listening differently based off of their personality. Are they listening for numbers? They want me to be succinct. They want me to be warm and friendly. So depending upon how you listen, right, this is critical to understanding how to move deals, conversations faster. So when it comes to the platform, like this is what it teaches you. If we think about the future of leadership, of sales, everything, it's about having self-awareness, mindfulness of others and how they like to communicate. So it's just a critical skill to teach sellers and people about how other people think and are motivated to move in the world.
Exactly. And when Jamie first told me this, it blew my mind, but it makes so much sense. We're tailoring our conversation here with XIQ. And previously, Jamie and I were also talking about how these are things sales reps are already trying to do. We were joking when we were first SDRs, how we would try to stalk our prospects on multiple different spaces and places and go to their LinkedIn and go to their Twitter, and then go to their Facebook, just so we know how to communicate with them in the right way. And so what XIQ is doing is leveraging that AI and providing insights on how to be a more personable person, how to really gauge that conversation at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, it's not a business that signs your deals, it's going to be the individual. And so XIQ here provides you those tips, those high-level qualities and behaviors, motivations, building trust, and more on how to reach out. One thing I'm also very excited about is our sales alignment. So previously, we started to look at how just our buyer's personality fit in with ours, but now we started to look and see how me as a sales rep, what's my personality and how I really engage with people. So this goes from low, medium, and high. And just because it's low affinity doesn't mean that you can't actually reach out to them. It means you just need to tailor that conversation a little bit. So here, scrolling down, for example, if I wanted to go into a meeting with multiple different individuals, let's say my CEO is going to be meeting with Jamie, I could also prep him here. So here I could double click, search other individuals and see how they would align with a particular person. So here it's going to load up and I can give those tips back to my CEO.
this is really important, Taylor, too. Like when you are bringing somebody into a next conversation with a prospect. So say you're bringing your boss or somebody else from your team in to have a conversation with the client, figuring out and understanding, or the prospect, right? If they're not a client yet, understanding how they're going to be listening. So based off of the people on your team and their personalities, there's going to be a natural alignment with one of you that maybe should talk more, take the lead, build rapport, and one to sort of play sort of that balance. And so it can really give you that insight as the team working, who's somebody that would be a better fit to join the meeting, and how you're all going to be communicating in that meeting so that the buyer, the potential buyer is hearing what they want to hear, and you're moving the deal forward.
Exactly. And so once you understand who that person is, then comes that email. You have to get that email. So before we jump into ChatGPT, I want to point out a few of Jamie's key personality traits. She's adaptable, she's friendly, she's approachable, passionate, and innovative. And I want you to keep those in the back of your mind when we build this out. Because what we've done at XIQ is we've added ChatGPT with us. So ChatGPT is really great at writing copy. XIQ is really great at predicting personality types. So when you get something that can write your emails for you and then look at your personality type of your prospect, you get a really personalized outreach. If you give a sales rep ChatGPT without that personality piece, like Jamie said before, it's going to send out a generic email. It's not tailored. It's almost less human and a worse email, if I can say it, than if the sales rep would have just written it himself. So here, double clicking into ChatGPT, I can add a prompt here. It could be to write an email, a LinkedIn outreach, a message. In this case, we're going to be writing one. In this case, I'm going to be sitting as if I was selling to Accenture from VMware. So this is a pretty detailed outreach, but it can be as simple or as detailed as you want it to be. In this case, write an email to introduce VMware's product to Accenture. In this email, build a use case on how VMware's product can help Accenture with their goals. So here I can hit enter, and XIQ will start building this out within seconds. Again, looking at two things, using that language model, but then also looking at Jamie's personality as a motivator. So how she would want to receive this email. And so within seconds, XIQ can go to any publicly available information, grab information about Accenture, and then grab information about VMware and build this out. So here, what we have a subject line, and then we have, hi, Jamie, I wanted to introduce you to VMware, and here are a few reasons why I think it's worth considering. And I want to point out this line I love to discuss. This is friendly. She's a friendly personality type. So here it's bullet pointed out, we have friendly language, but if I took this same prompt, when we jumped over to Usman, for example, and I want to stick on his personality for a second and have you keep this in the back of your mind. He's a driver personality type. He's direct. He's courageous. He's driven. He might kill me in my sales meeting tomorrow morning, but he's impulsive and adamant. So here I could double click into ChatGPT again. I could write the same exact message. And using that ChatGPT and using that personality type, we're going to get a different message based off his personality. And so this helps us reach that scalability. Because Jamie, as a sales rep, again, you're working with a lot of prospects. There's a lot of weight on sales reps to do really great outreach and drive revenue in the bottom line with less tools. So here, shorter, more direct to the point. And here it says, let's schedule a call to discuss further. It's not asking, it's telling, it's direct. So here, 2 different emails within seconds that I could send out. And this at XIQ has turned our demo rate up by 400%. And so we stepped from that war room into that win room. Now that I've written out these emails, and I want to point out that if anyone has any questions, you can put them in the chat. We're happy to answer those. But now that I've reached out these emails, it's important to also understand what's happening on a company level because, right, Jamie, once you get that demo with this really great ChatGPT email, you need to be able to have that conversation person to person that's educated. So just like I looked up an individual within XIQ, I could also look up a company. In this case, I'll double click into VMware. And XIQ will give you a scorecard of who they are and what they do, estimated financials, key executives, and key competitors. Scrolling down, we also have a SWOT analysis, and this is the piece I'm very excited to show. Jamie, how long do you think sales reps would spend trying to find information in 10K reports and annual reports if they even tried?
I think, yeah, it's like I said, I think that what I've experienced is that there is so much information out there, but it's like, where do you go? Like, you've got 1,000 tabs open, you're trying to figure out what's the most relevant, and it's not succinct. So I don't know, lots of hours. And I would speculate lots are just not doing it because it's heavy, right? Like the slow pace of having to put it all together.
Exactly. And nowadays it seems like we're in a recession. It's no surprise to anyone. Things are changing quickly. For example, someone might put something in an annual report and the next day it's part of a completely different company. We've seen it happen a million times. So what XIQ is doing with this SWOT analysis is we're not only looking at 10K reports and annual reports that are normally really confusing to look through. We're also looking at news because those annual reports and 10K reports are old. You're going to get old news. You're not going to be aware of what's happening, and things change really fast. So we bring that out and put it into a SWOT analysis so sales reps can start a conversation and align their solution really quickly with a company's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so I think this is very important. And what we've seen at XIQ is an increase in demos, but then with this SWOT analysis, an increase in our conversion rates, which me as a sales rep makes me very happy and makes me happy at my job. So now I'm going to jump back over to some slides and talk about how we've moved to that win room and the results that we've gotten. So back into our slides, resulting in this ChatGPT, we've raised our bottom line revenue, we've increased productivity, and the sales reps that I get to work with and the sales reps that I'm working with at other companies are getting their work done faster and they're happier doing it. And so, Jamie, you talked about also the traditional structure of training and how people need to move from that to kind of the new age.
Yeah. And and it does. It's like the same old, right? Meaning people are just inundated, reps are inundated. It's like what I'm seeing, as I mentioned before, it's like they're using the same war room tactics to try to win and just repeating them, rinsing and repeating over and over again. And it's got people stuck, and people are not hitting the results that they want. And part of it is because, in order to sell, right? I remember I said every conversation is a sales conversation. And in order to sell, you need to understand people, but you can't understand people if you don't understand yourself first. Okay. And this is, when we think about traditional training, often it is structured with, sort of a one size fits all, teaching the same tools. And it's like, again, like the same tools, the same structure for everybody. And even though we know everybody is sort of motivated differently and listens differently, we're teaching them the same tools, same tactics, and doing that spaghetti, right? And hoping and praying. And it can work sometimes, but with traditional training, that's what happens. It's a lot of like extra energy and work, and it's not sustainable. And so what works is shifting to a win room approach, which is understanding yourself first and your drivers. And that's where, for my training specifically, where it takes into consideration tools like XIQ, and how do you understand others, understand yourself, your innate strengths, and your motivations and drivers. So once the individual, because remember we were talking about war room, so much doubt in a salesperson because of every day, like you're getting rejected every single day. So what we're aiming to do, which is opposite to most trainings are like focusing on, you're not good enough. These are your weaknesses. This is what you need to be better in. Where we flip it focused on your strengths, your motivations, your drivers. And from there, we build the foundation for how you can win fast. So it's where we start there and teaching sellers the tools and how do they, authentically show up as themselves so they can connect more authentically to their clients using tools like XIQ. So it makes the buyer want to buy, right? People love to buy, but they hate to feel sold. So it turns, like I said, from spaghetti, hope, hope and spaghetti on the wall to being like a GPS guided missile, just hitting your target every time, because it's coming from you and your unique motivation, strength, drivers. Everybody that's on this call is driven by different things. And once you understand that, and then you tie into understanding how the buyers are motivated as well, it's just, sky's the limit. So it's shifting that type of traditional training over to, really tapping into the individual, which is where the win starts.
Exactly. And Jamie, I want to touch on that too. Buyers want to buy, but they hate to feel sold. And I think that's coming from a generation because everything's available on the internet. I do my own research when I buy my own products outside of work. So when you're dealing with these multi-million-dollar deals that people are transitioning, they're going to do their own research, probably know your product. They probably know its capabilities. So what's the most important thing you have to communicate to them is how they make decisions. So you have to be on their side of the fence with this one. They know your product. They know all its capabilities. They're probably coming to you because they want it, but you have to reach them where they are, where their motivations are, and really give them the information they need to bring it back to their internal champions. Like I said, everything's on the internet. People are doing their own research. You need to educate them on things that they cannot find, things that they find value in. And I think that's super important. Absolutely. And I think we're seeing a lot of people not change. So there's a lot of people stuck in those sinking investments. We've seen a lot of things from Harvard Review where people are just investing in sinking costs because they're afraid to kind of lose that. They're afraid to cut how much money they spent in solutions that aren't working. And XIQ's here. We want to be able to put all of the sales reps in one place, give them the information they need quickly. But it's really, Jamie, it's a company's choice whether they're going to continue to invest in products that aren't working. And you said it, they can continue to do things that aren't working, or they can change and move forward. And everyone's starting to adopt AI. And I think there's a lot of factors in racing towards that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be thought of as a sinking investment. It's more of understanding, okay, what do you have? And how do you work with what you have? And just really taking the time to understand, the acknowledgement of that, hey, we are, we're in the war room. We want out of it. Let's help you get out of it. Let's get you over here and give you the right tools at the right time to win.
Exactly. So thank you everyone for joining. We jumped a little bit into XIQ, but if you're interested in seeing more, feel free to book a demo. We put a few links in the chat, including Jamie's TED Talk, which I highly recommend every sales leader and every sales rep go listen to, because it changed my perspective within 10 minutes. So I think it's very important to watch. So all those links are in the chat. If we have any questions, we can take them up. And Jamie, I think we have a question for you in the chat. How easy or difficult is it for someone to adopt this WIN methodology or pick it up?
Well, it's pretty, so what I talk about in the talk is the war room's always there. Like as humans, we're always going to question ourselves, and we're going to go into that, doubt. But it's funny, I had someone say the other day where it took something happened, and it was it took them 2 days to sort of pick themselves back up and go. The goal is, right, after teaching people, my program's 12 weeks, it's an hour a week. It's super efficient and effective. But what the goal is, this is going to happen. You're going to get stuck. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to be unclear, whatever. The goal is to shift quickly, right? So 30 seconds. I don't want 2 days of you sitting in your war room. Let's quickly. All right. We recover. This is about building resilience and focusing on who you are, your strengths. And this is one of the things that naturally why this happens is because we are wired to focus on the things we're not good at and forget the things we are good at. And that's because our natural strengths, every person on your team, every rep, every person that's talking or listening to this right now, you all have unique strengths, but you sort of dismiss them because you forget that your strengths are things that other people can't do. And so what we quickly try to do is turn around and emphasize the things you're strong in, pull them out of you so you can see them differently. So you lean into your strengths, and that is your foundation for winning, building that resilience. So when I say quick, I mean, it's a practice. This is not like it's a hack for how to get focused, get clear, and how to, win the day, win the moment, win the deal. But it's a continued practice of noticing. You got to listen to the TEDx. Yeah, it's pretty quick. It's pretty quick because it's the noticing part. You're noticing that where you're going and that you're not making money over here. So and this is something like a manager, you don't know every moment of the day, where your people are sitting, because a lot of them aren't going to tell you. But teaching them the foundation of how they win is so powerful because it teaches them how to build that resilience and shift from here to here fast.
Exactly, Jamie. It's all about that speed of change and then change to that winning mindset. And so another question we have is how long it takes to implement XIQ. XIQ, I like to say it's a flip of the switch. It's 1, 2, 3. You can get started as soon as possible. XIQ, we just need users, and you can have licenses turned around within the day. And it's very easy. We have a training program. We have customer success managers. You could self-train if you never even want to come meet with us. But XIQ within seconds, within a day, I would say.
Yeah.
And so Jamie, yep.
No, I was going to say that one of the things I really like too with the platform, I know we couldn't get into all of it today, but where you can upload your contacts and you can immediately start to see like across the board your contacts and what are their personality drivers. So you can have like bucket your contacts by, how they like to communicate. And as you're thinking about the different things you're messaging out there and different themes, you can focus on that group of buyers that, are motivators or they're drivers or, they're collaborators, whatever their personality is. I really like that. It's very quick and intuitive, the platform.
And then one other question from the chat, Jamie, how does one engage with your services? And then how do you work with XIQ?
Sure. Engage with me. They can reach out. I think we put my website, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. For sure. You can reach out to me or onto my infirstconsulting.com. Reach out to me, message me on LinkedIn to talk about programs. So I run programs for companies, for teams, for new leaders. I do it for individuals. It just depends. I do a variety of different win room programs for companies. And what was the other question?
And then how you work with XIQ and how that
yes, absolutely. So part of as you had mentioned in the beginning, like everything that I do is grounded in neuroscience and what I call brain-based selling. So I use different tools through the different process, working with individuals, data-driven tools. And so XIQ is one of the tools that I teach the clients that I work with how to use to win faster. And so I, work with clients, and once I show them what the power of the platform is, they obviously are very interested in how do they integrate this in to how their work, how they're reaching out. So it's this combination of using the tool. Remember, I said a tool is only a tool, but how do you actually use it? Not just because we want to use the tool to get the first conversation. And when we think about how do we then continually coach and train that seller, and how do they communicate once they get the conversation? How do they actually, communicate live? So, it's integrated into the programs that I offer, and when we do our role playing, and how do you, when you're live in those situations as well, how are you adapting and adopting your personality and how you're communicating to the person you're the buyer, right? The person you want to buy. You don't want to feel salesy.
Exactly. And Jimmy, turning this back around to you. So you've sat and you've coached for a while, transitioning from the war room to the win room. What kind of results have you noticed with the individuals that you work with, and how it kind of reflects in their business and their sales?
Yeah, well, and so this program, I mean, again, you go and listen to the talk. I've been in the war room. I was in the war room. That is why I created the win room. How do you get out of the war room? And how to figure it out. I had to figure it out. And so this is a program that I've been, I created like 7-8 years ago because I was stuck in the war room. And I was like, how do I get myself and my teams to win? And so what I see specifically over and over again is that it transforms sellers, individuals, anybody that goes through the program, it transforms them. It builds their confidence. Like I mentioned, their foundation, everybody's foundation is based off of their own innate strengths and who they are as an individual, how they like to communicate. So what we do is when we build on top of that for the individual, and each person's unique, they see themselves differently. They're more confident in how they show up. They can be themselves. And what happens is when they feel like they can be themselves, this is the key. Once they feel like they can be their self and they can show up and not be like, have this sort of facade, it's this relief, and you can notice it in the person. So what repeatedly I hear from leaders that I when I work with their teams is like, they show up and they're so confident. It's like, what did you do to them? And so they're clear, confident, they're communicating in a more effective way. They take more opportunities to lean into conversations, and they transform their confidence. And like I said, building their resilience so they understand how do you shift when something happens, right? When you don't get the deal or whatever, we all know what that feels like. But how do you quickly shift out of that and over here? That's what we need, because over here they're losing you money. Over here, they're making you money. So that ability to flip the switch and just continue to go on the path with clear direction, that is what I hear repeatedly over and over again. Like, it transforms how people see how they can show up in their organizations with their clients.
And another question. So someone asked, if sales reps are sending emails using ChatGPT and XIQ, wouldn't that influence their profile, like towards the characteristics that don't actually represent them? And I want to point out that ChatGPT uses XIQ to write the email based on your prospect's personality type that we've predicted. But within our ChatGPT, we have an up button and we have a dislike button. So not only are we learning what your prospect likes, you can then thumbs up it or thumbs down it to slowly have the AI learn what you like, how you like to send your emails. Because of course, at the end of the day, there's not only a person receiving the ChatGPT email, there's a person looking and creating the ChatGPT email. And that's how we really integrate your personal style. So if I wrote an email to Jamie and I didn't like how ChatGPT wrote it to her, thumbs down, regenerate. It's going to slowly click and get closer to what kind of emails you like. So the more you use it, the more XIQ will then tailor that conversation, not only for you, but also your prospect and how you both like to communicate. So that's how we kind of navigated that challenge, because it was a challenge. People said, this doesn't sound like me. And so we wanted to keep the personality on both sides. So XIQ's AI will slowly learn the emails that you also like to send. And so Jamie, we love to hear that like 3 sales conversation analogy you have, because I think so many people miss it. Like I said before, when you first told me it did blow my mind. I hadn't even thought about that. It's what everyone's hearing. It's not just one conversation. So I want you to kind of double click on that. How many people aren't realizing that that's kind of the 3? How many people aren't realizing that there are 3 sales conversations?
Well, we're kind of in a me economy, right? Like, we are a me economy. Everybody's just about me, myself, and I. And so the majority of people, this is why this is so powerful, is, sort of going through the win room techniques and program, is that it has you show up in a completely different way, because so many people are showing up with a facade, right? What is sales, right? Sales is connection. Sales is trust. Sales is, having the confidence in the person that you're talking with. And so if you have a sales rep, if you finally get that conversation and you show up in like trying to play a part that's not uniquely you, people can smell that from a mile away. And it doesn't allow for, people are nervous anyway. And so we want, as our sellers, to stand out. We want to have every conversation is a sales conversation. So your interactions, this is where it's like, from taking it from the email, you get the meeting, and then how do you then show up and be yourself? So a combination of this is really just understanding, well, the majority of people aren't doing it. They think that everybody wants to be communicated the way that they see the world, right? How they do it. So this is where it's really powerful to sort of educate. And like I said, this is a tool. XIQ is a tool, but it's an overall education and practicing and empathy for others, self-awareness of how you communicate, how people listen. So what you're doing is you're teaching your sellers how to listen like your buyers listening, right? So that over time, you meet somebody for the first time, but then as you build rapport with your clients, you're understanding more and more about how they communicate. They are understanding how you communicate because you're communicating authentically, right? So this isn't about like, we're not trying to, use these, the chat GTP prompts to sort of, like fake something, right? We want a genuine interaction because we generally want to help the client, the prospect. But it's a huge differentiator and something that people are not doing. So that's why, right, behind the scenes, all the people that I'm working with, they win because they become top performers because they're focusing on this. This is the place where most people are not focusing. Oh, you're on mute.
And so one other question. So Taylor, myself, Jamie, who are typical customers? What size of business should consider XIQ and WinRoom? And my answer might be cliche, but I think anyone who has customer facing sales reps, individuals, anyone who has to get on the phone each day and call and try to make relationships. So I would say anyone with those customer facing individuals.
Absolutely. And like I said, a big part of this as well is we're not focused on this today, but ultimately everybody in your organization is in sales, right? So everyone's in sales, every conversation is a sales conversation. So a big part of this as well is how, right, we talk about the external sale to the prospect, but it's also how are you selling people? And when I say selling, you're communicating authentically with people internally in your organization too. You can't win alone, right? You need a team around you. So how do you build trust and rapport with your colleagues, with the overall team that's helping you support with, the bigger deals? So most of us, we're working on big complex deals with bigger organizations. So we have to be able to have better communication and collaboration with not just our prospect, but the team that's going to help us win the deal. And so it's this really reframing of like, we're all in this together. We are better together. And tools like XIQ can help with really reframing that and understanding how people want to communicate. So I know it's kind of for everybody. But essentially I would say, teams with, that they're reaching out to prospects. I mean, I work a lot with new teams, new leaders, different organizations that are undergoing change, where they're, trying to reframe and resell their product in a different way or to a new customer set. So it really works in multiple different ways, because ultimately it's just about, right, like you're building your business, and every conversation is how you build your business.
Exactly. And Jamie, everyone is in this together. And so if you want to talk to me or Jamie, we have links in the chat to where you can book demos with us. We'd love to hear about your goals, look at what you're using now, and strategize with you, because no one wins alone. XIQ wants to see people succeed. So our links are in the chat, and we'd be happy to have a conversation with you. I highly recommend anyone who hasn't seen Jamie's TED Talk, go listen to it now. I think it's 10 minutes. You can drink it over your coffee. It was a great learning experience. Jamie, I've had a blast speaking with you. I've learned so much. I want to thank you one more time for having this webinar with me and having this really important conversation.
You got it, Taylor. It's fun to be with you, and let's all focus on the win, right?
Exactly. Let's focus on the win.
Yep.
Everyone who's joined, thank you so much for taking some time in your morning, afternoon, or evening and spending it with XIQ and Jamie, and we hope to speak with you soon.